Welcome to the Work Hard, Play Hard podcast. My name is Robb Murgatroyd, and I am a former doctor turned lifestyle entrepreneur. Each week, I interview some of the best minds on the planet on the science of achievement and the art of fulfillment. Today's episode is a mini-sode that I like to call the Robb Review. It's where I take the things that I'm experimenting with in my personal and business life and give you the tips, tricks, and strategies that I've learned. Excuses are over. It's time to live. What's up, everybody, and welcome to this week's Robb Review. Today, we're going to talk about how to avoid divorce by being aware of John Gottman's Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. You're going to learn how he predicts with 99% accuracy who's going to get divorced by spending 2 minutes with them, exactly what the Four Horsemen are, and what to do when you're in one of those Four Horsemen. So look, here's the disclaimer. I'm not a therapist. I don't play one on the internet. But learning this stuff has really helped Kim and I. One afternoon, I remember I was watching CBS Sunday Morning, and this is like my ritual, my Sunday ritual. I'm doing it 20 years. Have a mimosa, chill out, watch CBS Sunday Morning. Try it. You'll freaking love it. And on the show comes this guy named John Gottman, who is not a marriage counselor. He's somebody who has been doing nothing for the last 40 years other than researching whether or not people are going to get divorced. And he's got this thing down to a science where he can predict with 98, 99% accuracy who's actually going to get divorced. So how does he do it? Well, he takes couples into what he calls his love lab. And the Love Lab is an apartment in Seattle where he's got cameras that are pointed at all different angles of the room. When the couples are sitting in the chair, they have this little jiggleometer that he calls it that's on the chair that measures how much they move. He's got them strapped to an EKG, a blood pressure, and the cameras are trained at their pupils. And he gives them a subject to talk about that clearly, you know, the subject that you have with your partner, that whenever you bring up that subject, there is always an issue. Well, that's the subject he gives them to talk about. And he watches when they're talking exactly, he doesn't care about what they're talking about. He watches how they talk about these subjects of points of contention. So he'll look at how are their pupils responding, what are their eyes doing, are they rolling, is their blood pressure going up, et cetera, et cetera. So he gets all of the biofeedback, for lack of a better word, data. Now, what he's come up with is what he terms the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. And these are progressive stages that couples go through when they have trouble. So the first stage is called criticism. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's where you start being a little bit critical of your partner. You know, maybe they left the cap off the toothpaste, to use an old trite expression. But then it escalates, and it escalates into something called contempt. Contempt is the best way to describe contempt in this medium of podcasting is eye rolling. I'll give you an example. It's Saturday afternoon. Hey, honey, I'm going to go out for a few hours. I'll see you in a little bit. I got some stuff to do. And your spouse rolls their eyes and they're like, yeah, okay, fine. I'll see you later on this afternoon. And you know what that means. You know that they're pissed at you, right? So that is the stage of contempt. If you don't repair the relationship in that stage, it moves on to the third stage, which is defensiveness. Defensiveness is where something will come up, and when it comes up, you just start defending. That wasn't my fault. That's not what I said. That's not true, etc. You get the idea of defensiveness. That one's pretty clear. If you don't fix it in that stage, you go into the fourth stage. And the fourth stage, I'm learning how to speak English today. The fourth stage is stonewalling. Stonewalling is where the wife is bringing something up, let's say, and you're just completely numb. You're nodding. You're pissed inside, but you're nodding. You're not saying anything. You've been there, right? So we've all been through these stages. But when you get to stonewalling, you have about, if you don't change it, you have about a 99% chance of divorce within the next 2 years based on his research. So once I was aware of this, I was like, all right, so what do we got to do to fix this thing? Well, the first one is when you're in criticism. When you're in criticism, try and complain without blaming. That's not easy to do. Very often when we're complaining, we're really blaming. So you want to try and do it without blaming. When you're in defensiveness, you want to take responsibility for it. So if you say like, hey, look, it wasn't my fault, maybe you go, you know what? I'm going to take responsibility for this one. Maybe inside, maybe I don't really feel like I'm responsible, but you've made the decision, for the sake of my marriage, I'm going to take responsibility. Who cares, right? It's not that big a deal. I'm going to take responsibility. When you're in the contempt stage, you want to build a culture of appreciation, he calls it. So to use a Tony Robbins expression, you want to swap your expectations for appreciation. So when you start rolling your eyes, just say, you know what? I am going to appreciate everything about my partner right now, and I am not going to roll my eyes at them. And you'll know when you do it. And it's funny because once you're aware of it, Kim and I, we'll look at each other and we'll go like, well, you're clearly in contempt. And I don't know what state that's in, but you know what I mean. You get the idea. And when you're in stonewalling, when you find yourself going into this numb stage, he calls it self-soothing, which is really what you're doing. You're protecting yourself. Just say, you know what? I need 20 minutes. Give me 20 minutes. Let me just take a drive. Let me go in my room. Let me listen to some music. Let me let the adrenaline get out of my body. And I'm going to come back to you when I'm calm. And we're going to talk about this. These are things that we use in our relationship constantly, and we're now acutely aware when they come up. So if you're honest with yourself and know when you're in one of these stages and you really want your relationship to work, then you got to get yourself out of these stages. I would recommend reading John Gottman's book. I forgot the title of the book. Just Google John Gottman, or I'll link it up in the show notes. And use one of his strategies to get out of it. So a little bit of housekeeping. If you want to win a free ticket and sit with us in our own private section to Lewis Howes' Summit of Greatness this year, all you got to do is write a 5-star review. Oh, that rhymes. All you got to do is write a 5-star review on iTunes, and I'll put you in our weekly drawing to win the ticket. So just go. I mean, how much did you pay for this? You didn't pay anything for this. No big deal. It's just me talking to you. It's going to kill you to go over there. Just go over there. Do it right now. Take you 2 seconds. It would mean the world to me. Just go over, enter a 5-star review, and I will put you in our raffle to come hang out with us. I think his event is going to be at the end of September, maybe beginning of October. I'll get dates as soon as I know. So that's it for today. Have a great day, everybody. All right. Thanks for listening. If you love this episode and you know someone that needs some help in either stepping up their work hard game or their play hard game, it would mean the world to me if you shared this podcast with them to help me get this movement out there. So if you like what you heard, head on over to iTunes, take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review, and I will be forever grateful. So until the next episode, excuses are over. It's time to live.